Today's lesson is Exploring the Breathtaking Grand Canyon. Hi, everybody. My name is Roger.
And my name is Helen.
And we're traveling for the month of August. And it's a good time to travel now, but we're telling you to go someplace that's in a desert, and it might be kind of hot. It's in North America. Maybe you've been there before. It's called the Grand Canyon. Helen, have you ever been to the Grand Canyon before?
No, I have never been to the Grand Canyon, even though I do want to go, and I've heard so many good things about it, but I've never made it to that part of the country. But yeah, I heard that it was spectacular, and it's one of the 7 wonders of the world, so it's a must-see.
Well, I supposedly have been there before, but I was quite young at the time. I think I was only maybe 7 or 8 years old, so I really don't remember having been there before, so I definitely need to go there again. My sister and her husband often took their boys there to go hiking. They're in the Boy Scouts, and they like doing stuff like that, so they've got lots of stories about the Grand Canyon to tell. So, of course, I'm interested after having heard their stories. And maybe after listening to today's lesson, some of our listeners out there may be inspired to go to the Grand Canyon as well. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Let's get into it. Let's talk about the Grand Canyon. Let's listen to the first part of our lesson, and we'll be right back.
Exploring the breathtaking Grand Canyon. Millions of years ago, the Colorado River began cutting through the layers of red rock beneath it to form the Grand Canyon. One of the 7 natural wonders of the world, the Grand Canyon will take your breath away.
大家好，第一部分我们看到片语 take one's breath away， 指令人惊叹或是大吃一惊。举例来说 ，The park's natural beauty takes one's breath away。公园里的自然美景让人屏息惊叹。或是 The dancer's amazing moves took my breath away。那位舞者曼妙的舞姿令我叹为观止。
So the title of today's lesson is Exploring the Breathtaking Grand Canyon. So the first 2 words here, are sounds that people might make when they see the Grand Canyon because they are so impressed. Now, the Grand Canyon is breathtaking, which means it takes your breath away because it's so beautiful, it's so impressive that your breath is taken away and you might exclaim, when you look at the scene before you as you explore the Grand Canyon.
Okay, so millions of years ago, the Colorado River began cutting through the layers of red rock beneath it to form the Grand Canyon. So that's how it was formed over millions of years. We've got a river called the Colorado River. That's a river in the western United States, and it flowed over the land there over millions of years, and it cut through the layers of red rock beneath it to form the Grand Canyon. So if you've been to various parts of Taiwan sometimes, you can see layers of rock. A layer is just an area of something that is laid on top of something else. You might have different layers in a cake, for example. A layer on the bottom, one in the middle, one on the top. They may be different flavors and things like that. And rocks are the same. You've got different layers of rock because rock forms over different periods of time. And yes, indeed, if you do go to the Grand Canyon, you can see those layers of red rock.
Yes, and the Colorado River began cutting through the layers of red rock starting from millions of years ago. So, of course, it's a very, very slow process that took place over millions of years as the water of this river began cutting through the red rock, thus creating the Grand Canyon. So, a canyon is basically a long, deep valley with very steep sides made of rock. And usually when the canyon is the result of millions of years of river, of water cutting through it, then the scene will be very, very magnificent.
Indeed. So that's how the Grand Canyon was formed, and of course, because it was formed that way, we get to have this great sight there, the great scenery there, and it's one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. The Grand Canyon will take your breath away. As you look at it, you just won't be able to breathe because it is so spectacular. It is so amazing, and like the title suggests, you'll probably go, ooh, ah, that is so cool. Okay, that brings us to the end of the first part of our lesson for today. Let's move on now to the second part.
Located in northern Arizona, Grand Canyon National Park is divided into 2 areas, the South Rim and the North Rim. The South Rim is home to the Grand Canyon Village and Mather Point, where most people get their first view of the canyon. Nearby, located on the edge of the canyon rim, is the Yavapai Museum of Geology. There, visitors can gain a deeper understanding of the canyon while looking out over the South Rim.
So the Grand Canyon is located in the western part of the United States, but let's look closely at where it is exactly. So located in northern Arizona, Arizona is one of the states in the United States, Grand Canyon National Park is divided into 2 areas, the South Rim and the North Rim. And rim here is a word that refers to the edge of something. So it's the edge of the rocks that you would be standing on right before the drop to the bottom. So we have 2 areas that are kind of popular with visitors. One is the South Rim and the other is the North Rim.
Exactly. So when you go to the Grand Canyon, of course, you're looking at it from the top. Whereas if you're here in Taiwan and you go to Taroko Gorge, you're actually going through the middle of the gorge. And a canyon, of course, is much wider than a gorge. So there are ways to drive to the edge of the Grand Canyon or the rims of the Grand Canyon. And of course, we've got 2 sides of it. We've got the North Rim and the South Rim. And the South Rim is home to the Grand Canyon Village and Mather Point, where most people get their first view of the canyon. So yes, if you go to the South Rim, there's going to be the Grand Canyon Village there. They probably got lots of souvenir shops and restaurants and hotels and stuff like that. And you've also got Mather Point there, and that's where people go to get their first view of the canyon. I'm guessing that the reason people go there first is because it's closer to more populated cities like Los Angeles and Phoenix.
Right, and nearby, located on the edge of the canyon rim, is the Yavapai Museum of Geology. And there, visitors can gain a deeper understanding of the canyon while looking out over the South Rim. So if you arrive at the Grand Canyon National Park via the South Rim, you definitely get a better introduction of the area because you can get your first view of the canyon and you also get to go to the Yavapai Museum of Geology. So this particular museum is a museum that focuses on the science of the structure of the earth. That's what geology means. It's a science or the study of the structure of the earth and how this structure, how these rocks changed over time or how the earth was formed over time. And that's important knowledge if you want to visit the Grand Canyon and gain a deeper understanding of the canyon because you want to know the science behind it. And you can gain that knowledge at the Yavapai Museum of Geology.
Now, let's face it, most people probably go there just for photo opportunities or to say they've been there before, and they may not particularly be interested in the museum, but still, it is quite fascinating to know how the Grand Canyon formed over millions of years, and there will be lots of information about that in the museum there. And yes, indeed, you can gain a deeper understanding of the canyon, and at the same time, you can look out over the South Rim and go, wow, that's so cool. I'm learning about geography while looking at the canyon at the same time. This is something I'm never going to forget. Well, that brings us to the end of the second part of our lesson for today. Let's move on now to the third part and continue to talk about the Grand Canyon.
The national park also contains seemingly endless trails, offering spectacular canyon views. One of the most popular is Bright Angel Trail, which descends 1,360 meters to a campground near the Colorado River. For a more challenging hike, try the South Kaibab Trail. This steep hike is famous for its expansive scenery and the Ooh-Ah Point, a beautiful viewpoint marked by a very Instagrammable sign. If hiking isn't your thing, you can also tour the canyon via bike, mule, raft, or even helicopter.
第三部分我们看到动词 descend， 指下降、走下或是夜幕黑暗的降临，像是 Martin descended the stairs into the cellar. Martin 下楼梯到地窖里去。也可以说 The elevator descended from the 12th floor of the building to the basement. 这辆电梯从这栋大楼的12楼下到地下室。另外补充一个含有 descend 在内的片语 descend on， 意思是造访或是向点点点涌去。我们可以说 Thousands of people descended on the town to attend the music festival. 成千上万的民众来到这座城镇参加音乐节。也可以说 Numerous customers descended on the on-sale items displayed at the back of the store. 许多顾客往陈列在店里后面那排的促销商品涌去。再补充这个字的反义词 ascend， A-S-C-E-N-D， ascend， 意思是上升或是登上。例如 Elizabeth stepped onto an elevator, ascending to the top of the skyscraper. Elizabeth 坐电梯往上到摩天大楼顶楼。或者 The judge ascended to the nation's highest court. 那名法官登上了国内最高法院殿堂。再来我们看到单字 expansive， 这个字是形容词，指广阔的或是辽阔的。像是 In the center of the country is an expansive desert with very few people living there. 这个国家的中心是一片广阔且人烟稀少的沙漠。也可以说 The bar has an expansive wine list. 那间酒吧的酒单包罗万象。另外补充这个字的相关动词 expand， E-X-P-A-N-D expand， 表示拓展或是扩展。举例来说 Brian wants to expand his social circle, so he'll start going out more often. Brian 想要拓展他的社交圈，所以他要开始更常出门了。或是 We plan to expand our coffee shop by renting the store next door. 我们计划租下隔壁的店面来扩展我们的咖啡店。最后我们看到单字 viewpoint， 这个字是名词，指观景点、观察位置或是观点角度。举例来说 Robert drove to the viewpoint to watch the sunset. Robert 开车到那个观景点欣赏夕阳西下。也可以说 My sister and I usually have the same viewpoint. 我和我妹妹的观点通常一致。另外补充这个字相关片语 point of view， 意思是观点或是看法。我们可以说 The story was written from the point of view of an old man. 这个故事是从一个老人的观点撰写而成。或是 To help solve the problem, you should look at it from different points of view. 要解决这个问题，你得从不同观点切入审视。
So if you enjoy hiking, the Grand Canyon is also a great place to go. The national park also contains seemingly endless trails offering spectacular canyon views. So if you go on one of these trails, which seem like they're endless, which means they're very long, you can also get very, very beautiful, spectacular views of the canyon.
Exactly. So there's more to just going there and looking out over the rim there. If you are more adventurous and if you like hiking, then there are lots of trails there, and they seem endless. There are seemingly endless trails. They seem like they go on for miles and miles. You might spend your whole life trying to hike on all those trails, and they offer spectacular canyon views. So if you liked the view from the rim, either the north rim or the south rim, you can have other kinds of views when you hike on those trails, although you should be prepared because it is a desert area. It can get quite hot, and if you don't know what you're doing, you could find yourself in big trouble. So please make preparations. And one of the most popular is Bright Angel Trail, which descends 1,360 meters to a campground near the Colorado River. So this is just one example of the many trails there. It's a popular trail, and it's called Bright Angel Trail, and it descends over 1,000 meters to a campground. Now here we've got the word descend, which means to go down. So you'll start hiking from the south rim there, and you'll go down toward the river. Of course, later on, you're going to have to ascend. You're going to have to go back up again, unless somebody offers you a ride in a helicopter or something like that.
Yes, so you're going down 1,360 meters, which is quite a distance. And at that level, at 1,360 meters, you arrive at a campground. So a campground, or another word would be a campsite, is a place where people go to set up tents and to sleep in tents so that they can be out in nature. And these campgrounds usually also contain toilets and water supply so people can shower, can cook while they sleep in their tents. So it's a good way to spend time in nature. So if you descend 1,360 meters down the Grand Canyon, you arrive at this campground, which is also near the Colorado River.
Now, for a more challenging hike, try the South Kaibab Trail. This steep hike is famous for its expansive scenery and the Ooh-Ah Point, a beautiful viewpoint marked by a very Instagrammable sign. So here's another trail. We're calling it a steep trail. It's a steep hike, which means you're going to have to go up and down very rapidly. So you're probably going to have some good climbing skills and some decent hiking boots. And of course, you'll be able to see some expansive scenery. Remember, scenery is what you see with your eyes when you travel, and this is a non-count noun, so do not say sceneries. That is wrong. I've heard that so many times, and you're not supposed to say that. So yes, you can have some wonderful scenery there, and it will be expansive, which means you'll have some really wide-angle panoramic views.
Yes, so expansive means that it covers a large area, and as you are walking on the trail, you get expansive scenery, and you also come across the Ooh-Ah Point. So this point is a particular place. It's a beautiful viewpoint marked by a very Instagrammable sign. So a viewpoint is a place from which you can see or watch something. And in this case, at this place, at Ooh-Ah Point, you can look at the scenery, the canyon, and be impressed by what you see. And it also says here that this viewpoint is marked by a very Instagrammable sign. So we all know what Instagram is, or IG. It's the social media site that people like to upload photos of their holidays or of their meals, of their daily life on. And the writer is saying that this place has a sign that is very Instagrammable, which means that it is very good for taking pictures to upload to Instagram.
Absolutely. So now Instagram is not only a web platform, but it's also a verb. Hey, this is an Instagrammable site. We can take pictures and post them on Instagram here. And of course, if hiking isn't your thing, if you're not into hiking, if you're not in good physical shape, or if you just don't care for that particular activity, you can also tour the canyon via bike, mule, raft, or even helicopter. So there are different ways to get around in the Grand Canyon. Yes, indeed, you can go hiking, but you can also ride a bicycle. They probably have some mountain biking trails there. Or you can ride a mule. A mule is a mixture between a donkey and a horse. or you can ride in a raft. That's a boat in the river that has a flat bottom so that you can float down the river. And you can even take a helicopter ride over the canyon. Of course, that's probably going to cost you a little bit of money.
Right. So in other words, you can go by land, you can go by river, or you can go by air. And here we have the word via. Via simply means by way of, or by means of, or using. In other words, you can tour the canyon using a bicycle, using a mule, using a raft, and so on, and even a helicopter. So we all know probably already that a helicopter is an aircraft that has these large metal blades on top of the craft, and these blades spin, and the spinning of the blades is what lifts the aircraft into the air.
Exactly. So I recall one time I went to Green Island via boat from Lanyu, from Orchid Island, and I got very seasick because I went there via boat. And in this particular case, though, you can travel the canyon via bike, mule, raft, or even helicopter. Or maybe you can just watch videos on YouTube and not go at all. Okay, that brings us to the end of our explanation for today. It's time now to listen to our Chinese teacher.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文第一部分的最后一句提到 The Grand Canyon will take your breath away. 大峡谷令人叹为观止。那文中用到 take one's breath away， 字面意思就好像是把某人的呼吸给带走了。那引申的意思就是令人屏息，令人惊叹。这个片语啊，常常用来描述美景，是让人赞叹不已、叹为观止的。我们这边也顺便来补充几个跟呼吸相关的用语。好，第一个补充的用语是 a breath of fresh air。这个用语可以照字面意思来使用，像是 Let's go outside and get a breath of fresh air， 就是说我们去外面呼吸一点新鲜空气吧。那另外这个用语呢，也可以去表达令人耳目一新的事物，像是 Their music is like a breath of fresh air， 他们的音乐令人感到耳目一新。好，那么第二个补充的用语是 hold one's breath，把呼吸 hold 住，那就表示屏住呼吸憋气咯。像我们可以问说 How long can you hold your breath underwater？ 你在水中可以憋气多久呢？而这个片语呢 hold one's breath 它还有一个口语的用法，可以搭配否定词来表达不相信某件事情会发生，或者是不相信某件事情快发生，就有点像是在说你不用屏息以待了，这件事不可能会发生的。假设朋友说他那个小气巴拉的老板可能会帮他加薪，这时候你就可以对朋友说 Don't hold your breath， 意思就是你不用想了啦，这件事不会发生的，至少不可能这么快发生。好，再来第三个补充的是 waste one's breath， 浪费呼吸。那它其实是用来表达白费唇舌，我们就可以用 save your breath 或者是 don't waste your breath 来表达省省力气吧，不用白费唇舌，你怎么讲都没有用的。好，那么课文第三部分的第二句提到，最受欢迎的步道之一是光明天使步道，它一路下降1360公尺，通往科罗拉多河附近的一处露营地。那文中用到单字 descend 去表达下降，我们来拆解它的字首字根。好，它的字首 de 就表示 down 向下，字根 scend 表示攀爬。往下爬应该很容易联想到 descend， 它有下降、向下、下来，或者是沿着什么什么往下的意思。我们顺便补充两个有相同字根的单字哦。第一个是 ascend，ascend， 它的字首 a 是来自 ad， 那么 ad 它碰到了 sc 开头的字根，被省略成 a 了。好，那么字首 a 在这边就是做强调用，然后字根 send 表示攀爬，所以 ascend 它就有攀登、上升的意思。第二个补充的是 transcend， 它的字首 trans 表示超出，然后加上字根 scend 表示攀爬，合在一起 transcend 它就有超越、胜过或者是优于点点点的意思。那么以上是今天重点整理，我们来回顾今天的单字吧。
Layer. For Daisy's birthday, her mom made her a cake with 6 layers. Descend. The path descends from the town to the valley below. Scenery. We sat in a cafe at the top of the hill, admiring the scenery around us. Viewpoint. It took us an hour to reach the viewpoint, but the trip was worth it. Via. If you have any questions, you can contact us via email. Helicopter. The president arrived at the White House by helicopter.
Well, everyone, today's article has come to an end, and I sure hope you enjoyed reading along with us. I am Roger.
I'm Helen.
See you next time.